Alright, so I saw this article on Archive. It's from Sci-Fi Wire. It's time for Marvel and DC to embrace change, retire their legacy characters. The crux of this guy's argument is that because, comics don't get even a small portion of the attention that movies and television do. Which he's right about that. Until last week. That was when Jonathan Kent was announced as being bisexual. And he's talking about, well, everyone covered it. NPR and the Washington Post and New York Times and all that stuff. And so he uses that to argue that the legacy characters for Marvel and DC should be retired in favor of. Now, he doesn't explicitly come out and say this, but he basically is arguing that the characters need to be retired in favor of gay, probably trans, more black characters, more Asian characters, more female characters, that kind of shit and stuff. And it's like, I do agree that these legacy characters, they need to do something with it. Although I do think that they should have two separate lines. One is where they keep things the way they are now, where things never change. It's like how The Simpsons, I think it's episode 32 or something like that, and Bart is still, I think, in the 4th grade or 5th grade or whatever. I haven't watched Simpsons in decades. But anyway, it was just ridiculous that things never change. And then have a line where those characters get old, die, etc. But the thing is this guy, he's like, they may never have the guts to do, And this guy, Sean Isaacs, posted a great thread on Twitter where he shared his thoughts on why some of comics' greatest heroes could be and should be retired. And then he's talking about why they should be, make someone else. And then he points to Future State as to why that's such a great thing. He says, it's too impenetrable, to read the X-Men books or Spider-Man or whatever. It's like, well, number one, isn't that the mark of a shitty writer? I mean, well, maybe shitty is too bad, or it's too strong a word, but isn't that an indictment on the writer if it's too impenetrable? If you can't make it impactful and mean something to people who don't know and haven't followed these books their entire lives. But anyway, what's really stupid is like him and the people who say that they actually want representation. They don't actually want that. Because, like, for example, here's a site. It's called gaytravel.com, and this comes from June 2020, so it's over a year old. But here's their thing: 1.7% of individuals in the U.S. identify as being gay or lesbian. 1.8% identify as being bisexual. Now, those account for millions of people and stuff. It also talks about 5.1% of women identify as LGBT, only 3.9% of men. 0.6% of adults, which is only 1.3 million people, but it's less than 1%. It's like half of 1% identify as transgender. The number only increases to 0.7 if you're talking 18 to 24. And you're just going on, talking and stuff. 58% of LGBT individuals are white, and so on and so forth. And it's like, dude, you are talking less than 1 or less than 2% of people are gay and lesbian and trans and all that stuff. Do you know what it's like? Do these guys know what that means? That means that 1 in every 50 characters, 1 in every 100 characters, at most, would be gay or trans or lesbian. That's not much. It's like if you have 1 trans character in DC, that's going to cover most all the books they release. Now, of course, these people, that wouldn't be enough for them. They want to have more. It's just like the same with gay. Again, less than 2% of the people in the United States identify as gay or lesbian. And that's still less than 2% is bisexual. So again, that means that 1 in 50 characters would be gay. So why are there so many gay and bisexual characters in comics? If you're truly wanting representation, It's the same way, like, it's like 13 to 14% of the population is black. But yet they want to have all these characters be black. Now, I've got no problem with having black characters, just I have no problem having gay characters or whatever. But you're not actually winning representation in that case. They shouldn't try to hide behind that and say, well, this is why we want it. Because representation matters. It's like, you're using the black example, it's like 1 out of every 10 characters, and occasionally 2 out of every 10 would be black. In this, 1 out of every 50 characters would be gay, or 1 out of every 100 characters would be trans. I mean, you sit there and you're trying to talk about this stuff, and you're trying to hide behind all this, all this flowery language of representation and stuff, but you don't actually want it, because it would actually mean that there would be less of those people in the books, or the TV shows, or the movies, or whatever. And going back to this guy, that's the entire reason why he wants these legacy characters retired, because there's too many white men. And he didn't come out and say that, because at least he's smart enough. Although, I mean, he does say replacing the lineup of typical white male characters who have held these roles for decades could prove interesting for readers. It's also worth noting that introducing a gay Batman would be much easier to do with someone other than Bruce Wayne beneath the cowl. And it's like, dude, what the hell? You sound like a pandering dope. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up here. I've already gone over 6.5 minutes. Uh, just let me know what you think in the comments down below and all that stuff. Thank you very much for watching, and have a good one.